What's up, everybody? This is Pete and the rest of the basement crew, back again with another list of our top stuff for you. Today, we're going to be telling you about our favorite graphic novels. Now, before I even get started on my personal favorites, I want to tell you about one particular book that a good friend Jesse told me about on our MySpace, and I finally got around to getting it, called Pride of Baghdad. I don't happen to have it in front of me because it was so cool that I had to give it out to somebody else to read. Now, only me and Steve are going to be reviewing this particular book because we're the only ones who read it. Adam, on the other hand, flipped right to the last page, looked at it and said, "I can't read this, it's sad!" And sad it is. I gotta say, you get really attached to the characters, and it does have a bit of a harsh, sudden ending. But it was a really cool book. Brian Vaughan really gets into the feel of writing an animal as the star of the show. It was kind of like right out of a Disney movie with, I was almost at the animation actually, but the artwork is so fluid, it's amazing, it's a great read getting there. You see other animals, basically some play villains, some play good guys, some play, you know, the wise old guru. It was really cool to see how the animals kind of interacted with one another. Basically the story is, and from what I understand it's a true story, that these 4 lions escape from a Baghdad zoo after the American army attacked one particular city, and they were wandering around the Baghdad countryside for quite some time. And this is basically their adventures and the other inhabitants that they encounter, whether it be a wise old turtle or some stray horses or a very large demonic bear. Bro, it was a really cool story. I highly recommend it. Amazon or eBay shouldn't run you more than 10 bucks. I highly suggest you look at it. And, you know, Steve will probably tell you the same thing. Adam's a little bitch. He decided not to read it. And Ramon just hasn't gotten around to it yet. As for our favorite graphic novels, you might ask me, Pete, how can you possibly choose one? There's myriad graphic novels out there. Well, the funny thing is I couldn't choose just one. I told the rest of the crew to choose one, but when it came right down to it, I gotta give you 2. And those 2, in no particular order, are Triumph and Torment. This is a graphic novel, actually, by Roger Stern. I've told you about this before, actually. It basically has Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange when they were both vying for the position of Sorcerer Supreme, and obviously Doctor Strange won. And the one thing that the Sorcerer Supreme must do is to grant a boon to the runner-up, basically, as a consolation prize of sorts. And the one thing Doctor Doom wanted, which is the reason he wanted to be Sorcerer Supreme in the first place, was he wants to go to hell and rescue the soul of his dead mother, who is imprisoned by Mephisto. This book is more so about Doctor Doom than Doctor Strange. You really get to see what makes Doctor Doom tick. It has nothing to do with the Fantastic Four, nothing to do with his hatred for that infernal Reed Richards. This is just Doctor Doom at his best, at his most brilliant. And in the end, I'm not going to tell you how, I'm not going to tell you what exactly happens, but this man is smart enough to beat the devil himself. And that honestly put this right at my top list, beyond anything else that even could come to mind. Triumph and Torment. It's a rare book to find, but you can probably get one on eBay for just about 30 bucks. And if I were you, I would highly look into it. If you're a Fantastic Four fan, if you like Doctor Doom, you gotta read Triumph and Torment. Moving along to my favorite trade paperback / graphic novel. This one might have slipped under your radar. This is the hardcover collected edition of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac by Yonan Vasquez. I even met Yonan at Comic-Con last year, and he was happy enough to sign my book and draw a little picture of Happy Noodle Boy in the center. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac is one of the most hysterical books I ever read. It basically features this homicidal psycho who goes around killing people and paints a wall in his house with their blood. It's hysterically drawn. It's very cartoony. It's not the best artwork, and I don't think it's supposed to be. The comedy is just so off the wall. There's a scene where this mailman or somebody rings Johnny's doorbell, and the sign outside says, "Do not walk on grass. It is impolite to walk on the dead." The guy rings the doorbell, and one of the other panels there is this dude like hooked up to all these electrodes, and he's getting electrocuted, and next to him is a like wall of switches that says doorbell, toaster, microwave, television remote, something like that. And you get the this guy's hooked up to, every time one of these things goes off, this guy gets an electric shock. honestly, I'm not even, I'm spoiling it for you because this book is just so funny. It's got so many crazy little things running around. Happy Noodle Boy is just like a little thing at the end of each story, and he's got these crazy adventures where he's just like, he's like your schizophrenic half brother that just runs around and goes like that. That's pretty much Happy Noodle Boy. And honestly, this is, I'm rambling, man. This is hysterical stuff. I can't even make sense of it because it doesn't make sense. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squee, if you can find those graphic novels or you can find the actual comics, Johnny ran for 7 issues and Squee ran for 4, I think. Pick yourself up the graphic novels and sit back and laugh your ass off. Honestly, I can't even impart to you why this is so great. You just got to check it out. You just got to read it. And man, that's about it. You know what? If you want to talk more about Johnny, hit us up at questionsatpetesbasement.com or hit us up on our myspace.com/PetesBasement. Come on. You know the drill by now. You know where to find us. Or find us on the forums at the regular old PetesBasement.com. And you know what? If you thought this review was kind of half-assed, you're right. Because you just can't talk about Johnny the way Johnny needs to be talked about. You got to see it for yourself. Check out Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. See you guys later. Now let's see what the rest of these guys got to say.
The graphic novel that I picked was same as Pete, Pride of Baghdad. But it was by Brian Kane Vaughan and Nico Hedrickon. I hope one of those are right. I apologize about mispronouncing the name. But Brian K. Vaughan, as you know, is from Y the Last Man, and I think he's done Buffy and things like that. And Nico is from, he did a Canadian graphic novel about P.T. Barnum called Barnum, I believe. It's good. The art is good. You know, Pride of Baghdad. Even if you don't care about the writing, it's just enough to get it just for the art. It's beautiful. But the only thing is, it's very sad because, spoiler, all the characters you meet in the beginning are gone by the end, right down to the last panel. And you know, when Pete brought it down to the basement, Adam took a look at it. He went right to the very end just to see what happens, and he was kind of sad. He kind of he saw what happened. He shed a tear, and he said, he threw it across the room and said, "I'm not reading this. I refuse." So he didn't read it, and he kind of wussed out. And, you know, but what are you gonna do? Pride of Baghdad is based very loosely on a true story. During this war, the Iraq War, there was a zoo in Baghdad that, due to a bombing or air raid, these animals in the zoo got loose and roamed around Baghdad. Accidentally, American troops killed these animals, and that's why it ended. The story ended the way it ended, and the story is good because it does have like a two-sided thing. One is on one hand you have your freedom, but because of that freedom, there's danger that lurks, and you can be killed, like in the story. Or the other hand is that you don't have your freedom, you're in captivity, but you're well taken care of, or so you think. So it has that balance. But like I said, just for the artwork alone, it's a beautiful book. And that's the graphic novel. Now the trade I do have here, New Avengers Breakout. Collects the first 6 of the New Avengers. And the reason why I bring this up is just because it was for me anyway, it was a very exciting time when this came out, because the original Avengers broke up due to the Scarlet Witch and the House of M and all that big mess. And when this came out, it kind of brought things back somewhat to normal. I mean, this story is that there's the Raft, which is where a maximum security prison for all the supervillains. And due to Electro, he changes the gadgets and everything, and the doors open and the supervillains are released.